Hey everyone, my name is Josh Hennings, and this is my formal report presentation over the St. Louis Cardinals for business communications. So firstly, it's really important to know that baseball is just a business first and foremost. Owners pay their players millions of dollars a year to play on their teams. Some players are making over $30 million a year, signing $300 million contracts over 10 years, and much more than that even too. But it's just important to know that baseball is a business overall. That is why the owners invest in the teams. They pay players as a product to put onto the field to succeed. Owners are also given massive bonuses if their teams do succeed, and they also receive bonuses for the TV deals and stuff like that. And also just they make a lot of money off of the aforementioned TV deals, merchandise, food, tickets, a lot of stuff like that. So but sort of getting introduced to this current scenario here. Right now, the Cardinals ace Jack Flaherty, who's statistically their best pitcher. He got injured at the beginning of spring training this year in about March of 2022. The regular season began on April 7th, 2022. So Jack Flaherty got injured. So he's currently down for an indefinite period of time, which kind of leaves like a fifth spot open for the Cardinals in that rotation. And that's definitely something that's really important to succeed in baseball, is having an effective starting rotation. So it's really important to see who can fill that fifth and final spot right there. And as you can see, these are the four candidates that are being studied in this report here. Starting in the top left is Drew Verhagen, who's a recent signee out of the Japan League. And then on the top right is Jake Woodford, who's been with the Cardinals for a few years now. He's a little bit younger. Bottom left is Jordan Hicks. He's a current Cardinals relief pitcher. He's been with the Cardinals for about 4 seasons now. He's also a little bit younger. And then the youngest out of the bunch is the bottom right, which is Johan Oviedo. Just some background on knowledge that's necessary to be able to sort of just understand what's going on in this study here. Firstly, what's really important to know is that there's going to be 3 main sort of type of statistics that are going to be covered in the study here. That's basic statistics, mid-level statistics, and advanced sabermetric statistics. Basics are more things that you see on like TV broadcasts and stuff like that. So ERA, which is earned run average, basically showing how many earned runs a pitcher allows per 9 innings. Ks are strikeouts, which you've probably heard 3 strikes and you're out. BB is walks. That means base on balls. So that's 4 balls before 3 strikes. And then WHIP, WIHP, is walks and hits per innings pitched. So it's sort of just showing how many base runners a pitcher allows per inning. Additionally, when going down more to the mid-level area, these are known as per 9 statistics. And these are all just 9 innings times whatever stat you're discussing, divided by the pitcher's innings pitched. So some examples are hits per 9, home runs per 9, walks per 9, and strikeouts per 9. And these are just really effective to see the frequency at which pitchers do allow certain, hits or home runs or walks or whatever. Additionally, below that is strikeout to walk ratio, to see how much more often a pitcher strikes out batters than walks. Obviously, as a pitcher, you want to strike out more batters than walks, because a walk is like a free base, basically. Something that's really important in this study will be ground ball percentage, GB percentage, as you can see right there. And that's basically saying how many at-bats end in ground balls for pitchers, and same thing with walks, how many at-bats end in walks for pitchers for BB percentage. More advanced stats are going to be ERA plus, which is really important. So basically, for example, a league average ERA plus is always going to be 100. So if your ERA plus is 150, that means you're 50% above league average. If your ERA plus is 90% or 90, excuse me, that means that you're 10% below league average, if that makes sense. Fielding independent pitching, FIP, that is a stat that's used to measure how effective a pitcher is completely on their own, disregarding any balls that are hit in the field. So it only takes into account strikeouts, walks, and home runs. So everything that the pitcher controls solely by themselves. So sometimes teams with poor defenses, their pitchers tend to have higher ERAs but lower FIPS, showing that their defense sort of gave up a lot of runs for the pitcher rather than the pitcher himself, and vice versa. If a team has a really good defense, then a pitcher might have a lower ERA but a higher FIP, showing that the defense might have helped him out a little bit. Additionally, percentile statistics like hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, strikeout percentage, walk percentage, whiff percentage are all going to be important, as well as fastball velocity, which is basically how fast you can throw a fastball, and then fastball and curveball spin, which is kind of what it sounds like, just how much those pitches spin. I know it kind of sounds counterintuitive that a fastball, you want it to spin, but the more spin on a ball, the harder it is for the batter to read. Additionally, here's some tables I put here. These are also included in the report as well. So you can see here, Jordan Hicks is leading in these basic stats up here in ERA, and this is over their course of their career. So these are accumulative career stats. He's leading in ERA, ERA plus, FIP, and WHIP. So those are 4 really important basic statistics that are extremely important to showing how effective he is as a pitcher. Additionally, he leads in ground ball percentage, and I'll get into why that's really important later. Hits per 9, home runs per 9, strikeouts per 9, and batting average against. So the lower is the better in this category here. So that means batters only get hits basically 18.9% of the time against Jordan Hicks. Finally, when it comes to those percentile statistics, this is where Jordan Hicks ranks in the percentiles, and this is among every MLB pitcher over the course of his career. So Jordan Hicks actually ranks in the 100th percentile of fastball velocity, as you can see here, and barrel percentage, as you can see right here, which means that he's quite literally has the fastest fastball in the MLB, and limits the most barreled balls in the MLB, which basically are similar to hard hit balls. Additionally, something that's really important is that you want to match the pitcher that you're choosing for this 5th starting spot with the team that you already have built. So basically, you want to find a pitcher who has a high ground ball percentage rate. The Cardinals in 2021 actually won 5 Gold Gloves. You can see Nolan Arenado in the left, Paul Goldschmidt in the middle up top, Tommy Edman on the right up top, Tyler O'Neill bottom left, and then Harrison Bader in the bottom right. So that's a record-setting 5 Gold Gloves in one season. So you could argue that the 2021 Cardinals had the best defense of any MLB team in history, and all 5 of those players right there are back to return for the next season. Finally, for the discussion segment, you could utilize a bullpen or a spot start game method. Bullpen games are when starting pitchers are usually throwing about 1 to 3 innings instead of the typical 4 to 7, while other relievers will come into the game after them. Spot start is typically where a reliever starts a game and then throws as many innings as a starter would normally be expected, like I mentioned, about 4 to 7. And teams like the Brewers, Rays, Athletics, and many others have used this method and seen success, and have actually used the method in playoff games even. So high stakes games, there's teams that are using this method, and it has gained more popularity in recent seasons. So when it comes to the conclusions, as we kind of discussed, Jordan Hicks is like by far the best all-around statistical pitcher among the qualifiers that were mentioned. Second, Jordan Hicks is the best fit for the Cardinals' elite defense, as I mentioned, due to his incredibly outstanding ground ball percentage. And then the third conclusion is going to be that Jordan Hicks is an ideal spot start / bullpen game starter because he has relief experience in the majors, and he also has starting pitching experience in the minors. And as you can see here in these 2 videos, there's him throwing 102 miles an hour to a batter, which is incredibly fast. And up here is him throwing a slider. So yeah. And when it comes to the recommendations, the first, I would just say that Jordan Hicks should probably initially be used as a sort of a starter or bullpen game method every 5th day, pitching about 1 to 3 innings per game. So just not to wear out his arm or anything like that. We don't want him to get hurt. And then if he does show promise in those first 3 or 4 games or so as a bullpen starter, the team can sort of decide to go from there if they want to give him some spot starts, where he could throw between 4 and 7 innings per start, or however long the coach would feel comfortable with putting him out there. Additionally, Jordan Hicks is by far the best in-house option for the Cardinals' 5th starting spot, at least until Jack Flaherty's indefinite return. Hicks would slot in as the 5th starter behind Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, and Dakota Hudson. And yep, thanks for listening. I really appreciate the time. Have a good day.